yeah, this webinar will be recorded. So if in case you miss anything, I'll make sure to send a link later. But yeah, thanks for joining. We are talking about USDA grants and equipment opportunities that you all should know about. There are several out there, and I wanted to do a check-in with folks so that they know that, hey, what's happening, what's available, what deadlines are coming up very soon. So I'll make sure that we can support you all as best as we can. So today we have, so we have Max on here as well. You can see him, he's right there. Max is the founder and executive director of Leveling the Playing Field. So the first part of this webinar will be him telling a little bit about what his organization does and how you can be involved. And then afterwards, I will share some of the resources that USDA has, in particular, the Mid-Atlantic section, and then we'll go from there. If anyone has any questions along the way, you can put them in the chat, and we can try to answer them maybe at the end or as we go along. We'll see how it goes. And just also a reminder that anyone that is on this live webinar that stays throughout the whole time, they'll be put into a raffle for a $25 Tennis Warehouse gift card. So make sure you stay on. All right. With that said, Max, I will pass it on to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Alex. Appreciate it. So some of you may be familiar with Leveling the Playing Field. We've been around since 2013, and I think we first started working with Alex probably like 2014, 2015, pretty early on. But for those of you who are not familiar with us, I'll give you a little bit of a rundown. I think the simplest way to think about what Leveling the Playing Field does is we're a nonprofit that is probably most similar to like a food bank or a diaper bank, a book bank, furniture center, that type of a nonprofit, but specifically sports equipment. So what we do as a mission for our organization is we're all about increasing access to both during and after school sports for specifically kids in under-resourced communities. So we're talking about tennis today, but it's important to note that we work across all different sports. So what we do, first of all, is we run a collection program. And this might be a way that some of you all might want to get involved with Leveling the Playing Field. We operate out of warehouses. So we have, similar to a food bank, we have warehouses completely stocked full of used donated sporting equipment that we then redistribute back out into the community. So we have a warehouse in Silver Spring, Maryland, right outside DC. And we have another warehouse up in Baltimore City. So really any program in the Mid-Atlantic, we are able to help. So our collection program is how we get the equipment, right? So we go out into the community and we run collection drives. So about 90% of the equipment that you're going to find in our warehouse is going to be donated sports equipment from basically a soccer mom and dad cleaning out their garage. So if you'll see a picture on here of kind of our shelf of tennis rackets, that's like 1/3 of it. We have 3 of those shelves. So we have a lot of tennis rackets that come in. About 90% of those tennis rackets are donated from a family who either they saw us at, we go out to little leagues, we go out to soccer leagues, we have bins at tennis centers, we go to tennis tournaments. So we do a lot of engagement in the community so that people have the ability to donate tennis rackets to us. And so that's where most of it comes from. It comes into our warehouse, and then you can see we have our volunteering in the warehouse. So people donate the tennis gear at one of our collection drives, or they drop it in one of our bins, comes into the warehouse, and then we have volunteers. So we do over 500 volunteers a year. So that's another way some of your programs can get in touch with us. So obviously the first one is if you're working with a more affluent population, kids who are getting new tennis rackets all the time, we would love to talk to you about running a tennis racket drive, placing a bin at your tennis center, any way that we can make sure that families aren't letting tennis rackets sit in their garage collecting dust or they're throwing them away. That stuff should come into our warehouse. And then if you have kids who need volunteer hours, we're always looking for volunteers in the warehouse who sort and inventory all the equipment that comes in. And then obviously all of this, so the collection program and the volunteer program are there in order to give us the ability to make an impact, right? So the core of what we do is provide this equipment completely free. You can go to the next slide, Alex. Completely free to programs in need. So the process for those of you who want to apply for a Leveling the Playing Field grant. It's very simple. It's not like applying for a financial contribution. We don't require any financial documents. You don't have to be a nonprofit. It's a very simple process. You submit a request form where we get basic information on your program, the demographics, where you're located. Tell us a little bit more about the tennis programming you're doing. Really, the main thing we're looking for is how would donated tennis equipment help you get more kids on the tennis court, right? Takes literally an average of 5 minutes. We no more than 15 minutes to fill out that form. It comes to our staff and then we review it. If it looks like something that we'd want to get involved with, which usually it does, we then conduct a site visit or an interview with you. So if you have a tennis center in non-COVID times, we might come out to the tennis center, have like a 10, 15-minute conversation, or we'll have a phone call. I will say step 1 and step 2 are a lot less to do with vetting. We're not trying to like intensely vet your program as much as we want to develop a relationship with your program, because once we approve your organization to receive tennis equipment from us, you will never have to reapply. You also won't be limited in how often you come to the warehouse. So you literally can come multiple times a month, every week, once a year. You can take anywhere from 50 rackets to 2 rackets, and you could take a trash bag full of balls, or you could take 10 balls. I mean, it's really up to you. We don't limit how much you can utilize us. We understand that the need for tennis rackets is ongoing. You may come and get 10 rackets from us, and then 3 kids join 2 weeks later. We want to make sure that programs don't feel uncomfortable reaching back out to us and saying, hey, I know I was just at your warehouse, but I need to come back and get more tennis equipment. We certainly understand that tennis balls have a knack for disappearing, ending up on roofs, going bad, getting dead. So we want to make sure that any tennis ball needs you have. We have ball hoppers as well, tennis racket covers. On occasion, we'll get nets. Pretty much, and on even rarer occasions, we get the automatic ball shooters, which I know are very hard to come by. I wouldn't say that we usually have them, but I would say like we get anywhere between like 2 to 4 of those a year. And obviously the first tennis program that comes in sees it and says, oh my God, I never thought I would get one of those, and they take it. So the only requirement that we have, because again, this is a 3-step process. It's incredibly simple. It could take you less than a week to go from step 1 to step 3, being in the warehouse and getting tennis equipment. The only thing that we require from you is that you submit an impact report every 90 days, assuming you continue to pick up equipment from us in that time frame. We got to be able to track the impact of what we're doing, but that's really all it is. That impact report takes literally less than 5 minutes. I think there's one more slide you can go with.
Yeah. Max, real quick, where can you tell the listeners where's the warehouse?
Yeah, where are you located? Right. So 2 warehouses. So this is very accessible. The first warehouse is in Silver Spring, right outside Washington, D.C. If you guys know the Georgia Avenue exit on 495, we're less than a mile off of that. It's on a street called Brookville Road in Silver Spring. And if you go to our website, you'll be able to see all the warehouse locations. We actually have one in Philadelphia as well, which probably wouldn't be as relevant for this group. That's more of a middle states region. And then our Baltimore one is off of I-83 North, it's in Baltimore City. It's, if you know, like Hamden, Woodbury area, it's kind of as you're going from Baltimore to Towson, but still in Baltimore City, not quite that far out. And that's Baltimore. And what happens is once you've been approved, you get access to a link that allows you to set up a time at our warehouse. So you'll click on it, you'll see Monday through Friday, Saturdays on occasion, where you can literally schedule like a 30-minute to an hour appointment at the warehouse. And that's all it is. Comes to us. It's not like you have to email us and coordinate it. You just save that link, click on it, schedule your time at the warehouse, pops up on our calendar. We have people literally in our warehouse all the time, like every day. So it's basically like a Dick's Sporting Goods warehouse, but it's free. So that's how people utilize it. I know Cheryl's saying she's located 3 to 4 hours away. I know there's some people maybe in West Virginia or more rural Virginia. It might be worth, we've definitely have had programs make the drive. I mean, people do make that drive to get, they're not coming all the time. They maybe are coming once or twice a year, but we certainly have programs come up and grab items from us. I would say if you're going to make a trip like that, you probably do want to contact the staff member who you initially met with in step number 2 and just make sure that, this is the size tennis racket we need. This is what we need tennis ball wise, and we can make sure that we put aside what you're looking for, just to ensure that it's worth your trip. You could also have, you could come up here with a couple other programs in your community and share the burden of making that 3 to 4 hour drive. But yeah, I mean, the one thing we don't do is we don't do like shipping or logistics. We do have programs do need to come to our warehouse to get rackets. If, Cheryl, I don't know if you ever come up to the DC area for events like USTA related events, or if USTA has reps who go down to your neck of the woods. It's not that Cheryl would have to come to our warehouse for her program. You can have someone else come to our warehouse and bring the stuff down to you. We do have that. We had a baseball program in Jackson, Mississippi, who really was desperate for baseball gear. And we're like, look, we can't ship it to you, but we're happy to help if you have someone local. Turns out one of the parents in the baseball league, their son was in college and at Morgan State in Baltimore, and was driving home for spring break, filled up his car with all the baseball stuff they needed. So even though he was unrelated to the baseball program, he kind of was the conduit that got the stuff down. So there are ways that we can make it work. I would say, Cheryl, it's still worth getting in touch with us. I mean, we never know. We could have a staff member who's heading wherever you are and could drop the stuff off. It's not something we usually have happen, but we did have, like, another example is a special hockey program in Richmond was looking for hockey stuff. And one of our staff members was going down to like that neck of the woods for something unrelated and just filled up. We actually took our work van and just filled it up with hockey gear and dropped it off. So it's still, I would say, worth getting in touch with us. I think we could probably make something work. It just won't be as, expedited as this process makes it appear.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I know like some groups that came up from that far from Richmond. So,
I think the first time we did this, Alex, you put this out through, I can't remember exactly, but I remember there were some programs from some pretty significant distance who came into the warehouse. We did like a 1 day or 2 day come and pick up your tennis racket deal. So yeah, and I'm trying to think if there's anything, it's not just tennis stuff. I mean, we have cones, we have pennies, we have playground balls. If you guys are doing other sports or you guys integrate other pieces of equipment into your programming, like we do have literally everything from your typical team sports, individual sports, all the way to, PE related stuff. Like a lot of what we do actually is have PE teachers who come into our warehouse. And if you think about a PE teacher at a Title I school or charter school, they have very small budgets, right? We're talking like less than $1,000 in a lot of cases for an entire school year. And if you're trying to bring back, a set of tennis balls or a set of tennis rackets and balls and all these things, I mean, you're talking about a pretty big, significant percentage of your entire yearly budget. So a lot of PE teachers that we work with, they're not going to go out and spend their minimal budget on tennis rackets because it's a big chunk of their budget, and they don't know if their kids are going to resonate with the sport, right? When you first bring tennis into a PE program, you don't really know how much the kids are going to grasp onto the sport. And so when they can come into our warehouse and get access to the tennis equipment for free, and it's no burden on their budget whatsoever, whether the kids like it or not, they're not spending any money. It's an easier thing for them to do. That's a big benefit of what we do. So if you guys work with schools, like maybe it's not, you get kids from these schools, or you have schools in your community that you would love to see, having their kids hit the tennis ball around during PE or recess, refer them to us, because that's a big part of what we do is, a lot of kids learn the sport for the first time in PE class. That's the first time I touched a tennis racket. It's the first time I touched a lacrosse stick, a field hockey stick, street hockey, like all the different sports I was introduced to in elementary school PE. So if you see programs in your community that are not offering tennis, make sure they know about what we do. Most of what we do is schools, actually, as an organization.
Excellent. And then
yeah.
So one other question before we move on to the next slide. I think just a clarification on where the second point where you said conduct site visit or interview. I know you said previously before COVID time you would go visit sites, but I'm assuming now you do more like Zoom or video. Interviews.
We just do like a quick, and it's for us to have more information on the program so that when we tell stories about our impact, we know, if you were to look at a file in our database, like let's say we work with like Piedmont area tennis, we can look at what when they first submitted the application, we see all the answers that they submitted to us. we see the site visit notes, and then we see the impact reports. And so from all of that, because we donate to, between our two warehouses in DC and Baltimore alone, we donate to over 500 programs a year. So it's very hard for us to be able to, remember every impact. Every impact is different. Every story is different. And so all of that information is very important for us to understand how our organization is making an impact on our mission. And again, we want to develop the relationship with you guys. Like, we want you all to feel comfortable contacting us because you need tennis rackets. And if we get something interesting, if Catherine were to come into our warehouse and say, "Oh, I really would love one of those, like those ball shooters." I don't know what you call them, but like a pitching machine for tennis
Ball
balls.
machine. Yeah.
Yeah, ball machine. Or I need a ball hopper. Next time you get a ball hopper, can you please let me know? Like, we do that all the time. We see stuff coming to our warehouse and we'll know, oh yeah, Catherine told us she needed this. I'm putting this into the back office and hiding it, and I'm emailing Catherine and trying to get her an ASAP to get the item. And I think Catherine mentioned that we did hold some t-shirts for her, or we are currently holding some t-shirts for her. So we work with like Under Armour, for example, and they give us a lot of apparel, which you all would have access to as well. And we put some aside for Catherine because, again, we want to have that relationship with our programs because we know everyone's busy. In the situation of Cheryl being far away, we want to make sure that we have an understanding of where she is and how we can best help her so that we can try to make sure it works. We have full-time staff, so we put a lot of thought and energy into, making this work as easily for you guys. We understand that you all are the busy ones. We don't run after school tennis programs. We're not in the schools. What we do is significantly simpler than what all of you do with actual programming. And so our job is to make it easy for you guys to get access to the gear. And that's pretty much what our full-time staff focuses on.
Great. And I moved to the last slide. Is there anything else?
Yeah. So these are just the links. So I don't know if this is going to get sent out or if you guys want to type these out or write these down, but the first one is the equipment application. That's the form that you need to submit. Like, if you submitted it literally today, my guess is by the end of the week, even if it's Thursday, I would say possibly by the end of the week, certainly by like midweek next week, you would hear from one of our staff members, just to ask you a few questions and get you the approval and the link to schedule time in our warehouse. And then the second one is the collection form. So that is if you all have an event or a tennis center or just a group of kids who want to run a tennis racket collection drive. Yes, I'll put the links when I finish up, I'll put the links in the chat when Alex kind of takes over. But the second one is a collection form. If you guys want to run a collection drive, again, we will work with you on that. We'll give you all the marketing materials. If you need bins, we'll give you bins. If you're like, hey, we have a big tennis tournament event going on in the spring, we can actually come out to that event. We can like drop our trailer off in the parking lot, or even bring staff if it's going to be that big, and people can drop off at an actual event. So if you want to run a collection drive, if you want to help out on the collection side, that's the second one. And then volunteering. The volunteering, it's a very simple software. We have a bunch of different shifts online that you can sign up for. Basically like Monday through Saturday, you can find time to volunteer in one of our warehouses. So if you have kids who need hours, or you want to come volunteer yourself, or bring a bunch of your staff with you to do like a team building day in our warehouse, you can go to that link. If you want to create something custom, if you wanted to like bring in this, oftentimes it's like a Girl Scout troop or a corporate volunteer day, or students coming to do like a student volunteer day during school hours, we can create a custom volunteer opportunity. We have a lot of like softball teams, baseball teams, soccer teams come in and do team building as a volunteer opportunity in the warehouse. So if you want to create something customized, just email the info at, and we'll get you in touch with the right person. But I will go ahead right now and put these links into the chat unless there's other questions.
Great. No, I think that's it for now. But yeah, if anyone has any questions later on, you can put in a chat, or you have the information here as well that you can reach out to Max. But no, Max is a great guy. I remember like at the very beginning when we first met and he just started, and I'm very cool to see how the organization has evolved and got bigger and bigger over time. So yeah, he's legit. So definitely check him out.
And,
sure.
and the one thing I'll say is we have a lot of tennis rackets, and when I say a lot, I mean we'll never run out of tennis rackets. I mean, we literally, to be honest, recycle a lot of tennis rackets because we end up overflowing. Like our supply is overwhelming, and we end up throwing away some tennis rackets. We're able to be picky. So if we get a tennis racket that's like not a very nice tennis racket, we get rid of it because we have 100 more of that size. So literally there is an endless supply of tennis rackets at your disposal. None of you should ever be spending money on tennis rackets and taking away from other aspects of your budget. This is a resource that, we like, nothing makes us happier when we see a program reach out about tennis rackets because we have so many of them, and clearing our tennis racket inventory is an exciting thing for us because we have so much of it. So it's really, it's a lot, especially at the smaller sizes. Once you get a little bit, towards like 27, 28, there's a fewer selection, but pretty much that like 26, 25 and below, it's an endless supply.
Cool. Yeah, I was going to ask, like, it seems like there's a lot of junior rackets that.
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of every size, no question, but the junior size rackets, yeah, I mean, if you obviously the logic behind it is the kids outgrow the smaller rackets. Once you get up to the 26 to 28, I don't know if they go above 28. I think we maybe seen a few of
most
those.
27, maybe it's 27 and a half.
Yeah, we actually get some 28, but
yeah, there are some, but
yeah, but they're not outgrowing that. Most 27-inch, that's about, you basically use that until your bump guard is destroyed or you've cracked your racket. And so we don't get as many in usable condition at that size. Smaller ones, the kids are outgrowing their 23s through 25s and or lower, and they're not really using them in the intense way that your 27s are being used in. So the condition is also better. So we don't have to get rid of as many of them, and they just pile up in supply. The higher ones, it's not quite as much as that, but we do have a good deal of large size rackets.
Excellent. All right.
Yeah, John had asked about kids rackets. Literally, like any kids racket you'll ever need, we have. I guarantee it. Like probably every brand, every model. Can use the old grip. If the rackets are nice rackets and the grip is just really fraying, that's fine. I mean, a lot of programs they can regrip them. It's much cheaper to regrip a nice racket than to buy a whole new one. So if it's a grip issue, that's not a huge problem. We've had people, I think even, I don't know if it was restringing or regripping, but I know Alex, somebody you had connected us with a while back, regripped or restring a bunch of them for us. So yeah, if you sent us a bunch of old gripped rackets, I bet we could find, if they were nice rackets, and we wanted to keep them, and as opposed to, sometimes we get crappy grips it's like a generic racket, it's size 24. We have hundreds of those. We're just like, let's just recycle those because we don't need to regrip them because we have a ton of other ones that are, well gripped. But if you're talking larger sizes, we probably would put some effort into regripping them. I just put the links in there for you guys.
Yep.
I think is everybody a panelist?
Oh, no.
Panelist of attendees.
No. So you need to, repaste that in the change to everyone. And then there we go. Yep.
We recycle just to like waste management recycling. We have like a trash bin and then a recycle bin, and that goes into our recycling. But if anybody has that's actually a great topic. If people have places that will take old tennis rackets, whether they're recycling them or using them for something different, we're always looking for places to get rid of our recycle rackets because, I'd rather not give them the waste management. I'd rather give them to something more creative or sustainable. But for us, it's just like a space game. We need to get them out of our warehouse because we only have so many shelves for tennis rackets.
Excellent. Great. No, I think that's good. I think people are happy that you have an excess amount of rackets that they can hopefully take advantage of.
Yes, I hope many of you enter our warehouse and this fall and winter to help clear out inventory. That'd be a very good thing.
Yeah. Oh, inventory is so much fun, right? All right. Well, thank you so much, Max. And
thanks, Alex. Thanks, everybody. Hopefully, if you have questions, please email me. Don't hesitate.
Great. Excellent. All right. So thank you again, Max. For the rest of this webinar, I'm going to share just some other additional resources that we have from our section, and and yeah, we'll go from there. And hopefully my toddler does not come down running, screaming at me later on, but it should be fine. All right, so the first thing I want to talk about is the Grow the Game grant, which I'm pretty sure most of you were aware of it, and I believe at least most of you have applied for it as well. I just want to do one last call for any more groups that want to apply. We have just a little bit left. We have actually allocated about 96% of our 132,000 that we were given as a section. It's going out to over 68 providers already. We still have about 5,000 or so that hasn't been pre-allocated. It doesn't mean that we might not have more, because as people are validating their forms, we have been seeing a trend where a lot of them have been overestimating how much that they anticipated that they were going to get. So they're not getting their full funding. So we might have extra. So just so keep in mind that if you or you know of any other groups that are running any group tennis programs that caters to both youth and or adults, they could apply for this. Any program that run between May 1st and November 1st. Yeah, and then the other thing is I want to mention is, yeah, we also have still some funding for our incentive program. So that's part of, as for applying to be to get the Grow the Game grant, you could also apply. You can also opt in to our bonus incentive program, where you could get some additional incentives from Diadem here in Hardshoe. And for example, Hardshoe, they're providing $250 gift cards, 20% discounts on online orders, and complimentary facility consultation services if you have a facility. Diadem is also doing, they're providing their balls at a wholesale pricing. And I just want to give you a heads up though, that they also got hit by the shortage supply of balls that we're experiencing globally. So their balls are back ordered until November. But if you can still pre-order it, and it will come starting in November timeframe. I just saw a question come in about Kat. How do programs get approved in my spreadsheet? So highlighted in pink. Okay, maybe Kat, we can talk about that more in detail later. I'm not quite sure, but generally what happens is that once you get in, you're approved by us, like pre-approved for these fundings, and then you run your program, and at the end of your program, you'll submit a validation report to us, and then that's how it gets approved, like finished out at the end. So we can talk more about it after this meeting. Yeah. All right. So yeah, sorry, real quick. If any questions about this Grow the Game grant, just feel free to reach out to me. Yeah, we're just trying to give out some money for y'all. So next up, you might have heard this, but this is a junior player scholarship program that our section has running. And the deadline for this is also the same as the deadline for the Grow the Game grant. So it's coming up next week, which is October 1st, so next Friday. We have some junior player scholarships that we can give out, and each person that applied, they can get reimbursements up to $1,000. It can help defray the cost associated with either learning, training, competing. It covers a wide variety of activities. We have given out maybe about half the amount that we have allocated for this program. We really want to make sure we get that out to more players. I'm sure that you all, if you think about it, I'm sure you can think of some players that would be will find this beneficial to have. But if you have a chance to apply for that, you can go to this link here. And we also have the point of contact in our organization is Kat. So her email is here as well. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to her. Let me see, I saw a question coming here. What are the reporting requirements for Grow the Game grant? Is it administrative burden? All right, so the Grow the Game grant reporting, they specifically made this process as easy as possible, at least much easier than past grants. I think a lot of groups would attest to that. So when you do the validation form, you would, for example, put in your program, the names of the participants, but not their contact information, and then designate whether they're a new or returning player. And then you submit that in, and if it looks good, we check it, make sure there's no duplicates and whatnot. If it looks good, then you will get a check sent to you for that amount that you have earned. And there is no Sorry for it. There is no like I know that there's some grants that do accountability form. That's what it's. They do an accountability form for how you use that grant money. There is no accountability form for this grant, so that is one less administrative burden that you have to worry about. But again, John, if you want, we can talk more in details later on after this webinar. I'm happy to help you out with that. Okay. All right. Let's see. Next up, we have the Session Safe Place to Play grant. This is good for any organizations that use courts, which I'm sure a lot of y'all use courts, but especially for people that have they're running out of facility that maybe they primarily run out of. But also, if you do programs at public tennis courts, you could pass this information on to your local Parks and Recs person, because yeah, they can take advantage of this grant as well. We're giving grants up to $10,000. So it's pretty significant. So again, if you want to apply, there's a link for it right here. Kat is also, once again, the point of contact. And by the way, if anyone needs, I'm going through this kind of fast, but if anyone needs any like links or anything like that later on, just feel free to email me back. I can send it out. I think I'll just go ahead and send out these slides out to everyone that's on this call. So if you had registered and you're on here, you'll get this after this call to make it easier. But yeah, besides that, I want to also just remind everyone that National also has a facility assistance program where it's not, I think right now there's less as far as like monetary support, but they do a lot of like technical support. They can provide you like ways to like what's called schematics for how to, if you're creating new courts, they can provide assistance on that. They can provide just like technical support. Yeah, I think a lot of people just forget that exists. So if you also have any questions regarding this, like any like advice for how to improve your facility, or a Parks and Recs that could use some help, this is a good resource for them as well. All right. All right, the next thing I wanted just to point out, it's not a grant per se, but it's a way that we can get you all some equipment that you can utilize. And this is a national program where if we have a P program, if they register themselves into USDA.com, and then they put in their P program that they're doing, and then they have a school partner, which could be any groups that on this call right now, you could be the school partner, then that school will be eligible to get an equipment package, which includes 30 rackets, 36 balls, 2 rolls of barrier tape that you can use to make nets, a box of chalk, and a net generation rolling bag. It's a pretty good sized bag to carry all that equipment. And the thing I want to mention is that depending on our relationship with the P teacher, the school partner can definitely utilize that equipment as well for their program. So I know some group that do that. They run programs at a school, and they get the equipment. The PE teachers use the equipment during the school time, and then after school, the school partner would use it. And oftentimes the PE teacher only uses that equipment for it's like maybe a few weeks during the school year even. So it really is being used more by the school partner. I know that there are some that had reached out asking for like some equipment assistant, and this is where we can help out in this way. I can help support that initiative where, until National runs out of equipment, I can get you all as much equipment this way. If you know of a PE program, a school that doesn't have this agreement yet, we can get you equipment that way. All right, so just to follow up on some additional equipment help, I think you want to go to Leveling the Playing Field as a first choice for sure, because they have a lot of stuff. On our end, we do have some equipment in our storage unit that we could potentially donate, and some prizes while supplies last. We do have some. Most of them is located in either our main office in Herndon or over in Laurel, Maryland, where we have a storage unit. But if there is some like equipment that you're looking for that you can't get anywhere else, we might have some. It's mostly youth equipment. So like we have more like youth rackets, some youth balls, some bags, some like teaching tools like spots and cones. We have tape, I'm sorry, a barrier tape. We have some chalk, but it's mostly, I would say mostly junior related equipment that we might have some extras of. If you're interested in this, you can email me directly, and then we can work out how that would, like how to apply for that. Additionally, on the national side, this is something that not everyone knows of, but you all do now, is that National has some community kits that are available for providers that are running some new ethnically diverse programs. It also includes like wheelchair adaptive programs. They have some supplies for that. And again, if you feel like you would meet these requirements, contact me again directly, and I'll show you how to go about that process to get that. And then lastly, this is also a reminder that National has a community tennis equipment discount program where you could order equipment through like many of the major sellers like Wilson and Penn. You can order equipment through them at a discounted pricing, so at least lower than if you were just to order it from their website. Again, the link is right here. But I would say take advantage of that because it's open to any org member that's out there. So that basically summarized like just immediately some of the opportunities that we have in the section that we can give to you all. And again, here's my email. If in case you don't have it, you can reach out to me. I'll be happy to support you all as much as I can. Just something else I want to mention is that we are working on trying to create more grant opportunities within our section. I know this past year, just like anyone else, we were affected by the pandemic the previous year, so our budget was pretty low. But we're working on trying to create some more opportunities as we go into 2022, and to help. I'm advocating for a lot of support for the community providers out there. You all are doing amazing stuff. You all are the ones that are growing tennis in our area. So I'm trying to find as many ways to get you funding or support or equipment within my power. So I'm trying to do it the best I can. But yeah, feel free to reach out to me if you have any needs. Just let me know, and I'll try my best to help out. So, and that's basically it for my slides. Thank you. If you have there aren't any immediate questions, but if you do have anything, just feel free to reach out to me here. I'll go ahead and send out these slides out to everyone soon after this call is over. And yeah, I will go from there. So I do hear my toddler is about to have lunch. I need to feed her soon, so I have to head off. But thanks everyone for joining in, and yeah, have a good rest of the day. Bye everyone.